AI is everywhere right now. Every meeting, every roadmap, every headline. It's having its moment, and every company is racing to do something with it. But very few are actually turning that excitement into real tangible value. I'm joined today by Rafsan Bhuiyan, founder and CEO of OrionQ. He's someone who has spent years on the inside of enterprise AI projects, cutting through the hype and building systems that actually make people's work easier. Rafsan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Majestyk. How are you?
Doing great. Excited to have you here. Before we dive into everything, I want to ground this conversation with a quick look at where you're at today. So, if someone stopped you in an elevator and asked you what OrionQ does, what's your one liner? What's that elevator pitch about the work that you're doing?
Absolutely. OrionQ is a agentic revenue operations platform with go-to-market engineering here to scale your revenue by bringing customers closer to you using agentic technology.
Awesome. We love a nice, quick elevator pitch there. And that, I think, tees things up perfectly. I'm going to jump right in. No warm up lap,
Mhm.
just getting straight to the good stuff about this conversation today. So, in prepping, you've told me before and you've said that we should think of AI as a modern day shovel. Can you explain what
Mhm.
that means to you when we consider AI?
Absolutely. So shovel for generations, it's been very useful. Everybody used it as a utility. Very popular back in the day when they didn't have crazy equipments. But shovel is something that can sit on the side of the road and nobody ever notices it, right?
Mm.
And AI, we should treat it like a modern day shovel because most often we treat AI like it should do everything for us. I think we should use it more like a utility, a tool. So yes, you still have to do the reading on whatever work you're doing, whatever training you're doing for your personal interest or job. But using AI as a utility really gives you an advantage because now you know how to use it and where to use it. So again, once you get really good at it, AI will just become like a shovel that stays in the background and you don't even notice it because you're actively using it, almost like Google.
Great. And you kind of already started answering my next question here. On the flip side of that, when you look at how businesses are using AI today, how do you think most people are getting it wrong? What are they doing wrong in terms of implementing this type of technology?
Yeah, the number one way businesses get AI wrong is I think this is a human thing. We like to lean too much on AI, thinking it'll solve all our problems, all the business problems that you have. And I think that's a wrong perspective to have. I think AI is a human augmentation. And I think if we can learn how to use it appropriately, like a utility, and where to use it and when, almost, even prompt engineering is a good example too. I think we'll make it more productive.
Amazing. And I know you've kind of had a very wide background as you got into your career now. Was there a single moment along your path where you kind of said to yourself, AI needs a different approach? People are doing it wrong. Did you have an aha moment where you really saw that happen?
Yeah, I did. When first AI came out, ChatGPT, I was coding a lot with AI. I was trying, right? And I saw that there was a lot of issues with coding. Sometimes it would hallucinate, give you a wrong code. I'm sure everybody has experienced this problem. And at the end of the day, what I thought is like, okay, why maybe it can give me an outline, like a framework of what can be achieved based on what I told the AI, like I want to build a software, how can I achieve it? Maybe we should start using it as a framework rather than a complete solution blueprint that'll write all the code for you and you just sit there and paste it. So it was more like coming up with a system rather than a system-based, go-to-market based, I'll get to that in a little bit, thinking and engineering where you use it as a framework to get you from point A to point B very quickly, as quick as possible.
That was really good insight. And it's funny, I heard the word hallucinate. I know that's a big one when we talk about AI. When I think to one of the times where I started to, if you will, doubt the technology was when I got a hallucination. It's amazing to me how many people trust AI like 100% confidence and they don't doubt everything that it returns, right? And I think that's a
Mhm,
big misconception on my end is that people just trust it inherently. And if you're not
mhm.
a subject matter expert in whatever you're prompting it, to do for you, it can
Mhm.
easily return bad, wrong, incorrect responses, and you probably wouldn't know the difference. And I think that kind of
Absolutely.
that ties into what we're going to talk about today in terms of humans and prompting and all of that. I think it's a great tool, but you also have to kind of do it with a grain of salt and really know what you're doing without trusting it with 100% confidence.
Absolutely. I mean, unless you're perfect at prompt engineering, even if you are really good, AI can still get things wrong, right? A good way to see this is that, for example, HR sends you a bunch of paperwork that you have to fill out, and it's great. You can use AI to upload some of the paperwork and like, hey, what are the top 5 priorities that I have to do, and what is the number one thing I should start with because it's time sensitive. AI can do that really well, but sometimes when it's scanning through the documents, it may miss context. We've seen that over PDF and Word document. We uploaded the same document, it got everything in the PDF versus the Word, and we're like, wait, what's going on? So always proof check what it's reading, right? You can just you Control F, like find, and search the strings that it's providing you, and just skim through it really well, just quickly, because the AI will give you the summary of it. So it's easy for you to now skim through it, and it gets better. It's kind of the reverse engineering of it, where you know the answers and you look through the answers first, option A, B, C, D, and then you read the question, and it makes much more sense, and you're more likely to get the answers right if you do that. So
Yeah.
it's some sort of reverse engineering, yeah.
Yeah. That's really great advice and a practical tip. And I actually want to use that to move along here and talk about kind of the big elephant in the meeting room right now, right? AI hype, the problem with AI hype.
Mhm.
You directly have seen companies spin up expensive projects that never see daylight and that end up getting kind of trashed, right?
Mhm.
Why do you think so many organizations fall into that trap of chasing AI trends?
That's a very good question. It's highly debatable question too, because AI
Right.
is everywhere, and then we're coming. There are so many softwares with different themes. Now, why do we get caught up in AI hype? Again, number one reason why is we think there's an AI for everything, and AI will solve everything for us. And the way to tackle it is really for enterprises. It's when you know that you want to implement an AI, right? The first thing to
Mhm.
do is to evaluate your manual workflow. And number two is to learn your people really well, your organizations, your departments, and the people working in those departments, right? So we did an exercise back in T-Mobile with OpenAI when T-Mobile was trying to kick off agentic AI. And AI with initiative with OpenAI in general was that we did an exercise where I was training over 2,500 executives on how to build custom GPT, general knowledge of AI, the most basic knowledge you can have, and the most basic prompt engineering, and what the value drive is. We saw that we found much more better performance when we had them all sit in one room and kind
Mhm.
of brainstorm and talk about and ask questions. And whichever questions they asked, it was helping everybody else. At the end of the day, we were able to find 25 really good use cases based on a measurable value, which is what are the repetitive tasks these departments and the people in these departments are doing, right? And
Right.
we took those tasks and we measured it. We're like, all right, now let's cut it down to 5 most important one from the 25 list, and then one, and then we knew exactly what to develop to tackle that enterprise, like the entire organization wide. It reduces risk. You know what the measurable outcome is. And then 2 things, KPI, if you really focus on that we focus on, is that ROI compression. How soon can I get to ROI? Let's be honest, ROI is our goal. So we can hire more, give people better wages, better lifestyle for ourselves and everyone. And number 2 is the development launch compression, where how soon can we get this going so we can start seeing the ROI? And that's something we promise at a very competitive rate, because that's what OrionQ is about. We build the framework for the agentic revenue operations platform. So now all we have to do is configure it based on the user's use case, the company's use case, and deploy. And they should see it under 6 months. Competitive.
It's great to hear you talking about researching the use of AI when I feel like most people will use AI to do the research. So that's really
Mm.
refreshing to see that you've actually done the work here in terms of like, how is this being used and what is the best way to use it efficiently? On the flip side, let's talk about resource waste. I know that's something you've spoken to me about before. What are some early warning signs that teams might be overbuilding or misusing AI in an efficient way, right? And they're wasting their resources using AI for the sake of it.
Absolutely. The first sign is overthinking, right? I mean, as human beings, we overthink, especially when it comes to complex and something new. AI is not only a new technology, it's also a culture shift. So the first few signs of wasting resources is that without identifying what you need the AI for, you hire developers to start building something. Even hiring developer to find the use case to build something in your company is also, I mean, it's debatable. Maybe somebody can prove me wrong, and that's completely fine. But if you hire people right away to build AI without knowing exactly what you're trying to build, then it's a waste of resources from the start. You have to
Yeah.
know what are the repetitive tasks. What is the ROI compression, and how soon do you want it developed and built, and what do you assume is going to happen when if it goes your way. So it's a lot of planning, thinking, and it's reverse engineering the wants of what do you envision into exactly what we need to do right now to build it.
What I find really refreshing about your insight here is that you are taking a very measured approach to
Mhm.
AI, where I feel like a lot of people are in the opposite direction of experimenting like crazy, breaking things, trying all this stuff out because they have a tool like AI that does things so fast. And I feel
Mhm.
like maybe you can echo this, but that's, I think, the fine line of where resource waste happens, right? Because you think you're doing a
Mhm.
lot by experimenting,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you're kind of maybe wasting some time by running 10, 20 experiments, right? And
Yeah.
seeing what sticks or
I
not.
I mean, if you're an AI company or you're building tool for other businesses, you have to experiment and kind of break and be wrong some of the time, because maybe you're trying to build a model that works versus doesn't. You will fail a lot when you're a founder of an AI company and you're trying to build something for other companies to use and so that they can find value very quickly. What I've noticed is that, but if your goal is not to build an AI product, then the waste of resources happen when you're just experimenting. Oh, what works? What doesn't? I think
Mhm.
all AI companies that are building agentic systems or AI systems, it's our responsibility to go through that terrible experience and fail 200 times, right? And the thing is, it is true. Like, you fail so many times. I mean, I wouldn't lie to you. There's like 6 products that I had to say, hey, you know what? We're going to stop development of the 6 products and we'll pick it up later when we know how to make good use of it. And as I was talking to clients, we figured out, okay, these are the 2 products we're going to launch with. Wait, we're seeing the first product that we built, kind of like the aura of it, right? Being used somewhere within our product. Okay, now let's use that technology within our product. It's crazy. Like, you build, but you're let go of so many of those technologies you build. You don't hold into it, but later on you see that you're able to make use of it.
Yeah. Do you think companies genuinely overestimate what AI can do, or do they underestimate the work required to make good AI functionality?
That's a
It's,
very good question. I
it's a little bit of
think
both.
companies, yeah, it's a little bit of both. Companies definitely overestimate what AI can do. AI can do a lot, and you can definitely build a product that can completely automate certain aspects of it. But I don't, and then they do underestimate like how hard it is, difficult it is to develop and build onto the AI. And where I see the problem is that, when you're overestimating AI, it's very natural because you're depending too much on AI, right? But and the thing is that if you can understand, again, a measurable way to tackle this, okay, is there a human in the middle technology? That actually answers a lot of that question, right? Like we did. We're like, all right, we're going to be in the agentic system to do phone call, SMS, email, like, talking to customers, coming back, take helping them down the funnel of their entire purchase and beyond, right? So their purchase experience and beyond, following up with them. So, like, what's going on here is that we built a human in the middle technology. So we put human in the loop, and they are able to control some of these agentic operations, make decisions based on it, also move these agents. So it becomes a very strong tool, almost like you have a superpower. So almost like you have your own employees. So I think that is actually a good way to tackle it. You don't have to automate everything. It is okay to have human in the middle. And that's exactly how you build the performance in a team and AI.
Human in the loop, human in the middle, love that word. And actually, I want to shift now to something I know you're passionate about, which is the human side of AI, of technology, of how all of this stuff works, right? Because it's really powerful, but without human intuition, there can be a lot of
Mhm.
friction in implementing this type of stuff. And so you've started going into it just now, but how do you decide what should be automated versus what still requires human judgment?
That's really good. I mean, I would love to honestly see if there's any study written for this, but unfortunately, it's so new that any study that comes out, it's like, wait, Rafsan, we don't have enough information. So I think the information should come from, at least for my observation, I would say is that, you know, AI is more productive with human in the middle is because we have this intuition, we have this feeling that we can, when we're handling a customer, we can get this intuition and feeling almost like a gut feeling that, you know what, I should reach out to this customer and get more clarity on what they're talking about, correct? The sentiment analysis, sure, you can do that with AI, but sometimes when you're actually having a human to human conversation, you will get context and information that no AI at this time can process, right? And there is a lot of papers written on the human gut feeling and human intuition, but I truly believe that if you believe in the actions that you're taking, you're confident in your craft, AI is really a tool that's going to help you out. And then you lead the rest of the way. And again, that is the perfect example of human in the loop. But you have to give control to the human and really value the people that work with you, under you or above you. It doesn't matter. Just value them
Mhm.
and know that there is a good way of training. So it's for the first time that I'm seeing there's a huge need for consulting, people that work on, like language arts, figuring out sentiment, people that work on building systems like logistical systems. I mean, the art of human work is going to become very, very valuable in the future.
That is great. And I actually wrote an article around this idea that while all of us are getting much better at AI and kind of getting better at everyone else's jobs, right? Because we can kind of blur the boundaries between job responsibilities by using I think the real skill as we move forward with technology is what can I as a human bring to the table that the AI cannot? And I think you've
Mhm.
said it all. It is that intuition. It is that gut feeling. It is understanding, all these nuances of being a human that
Mhm.
the AI can't do. Hopefully not anytime soon either, right? Because that's a different problem
Yeah,
we'll have.
yeah.
Um,
No, you're absolutely right. Mhm.
and when we talk about how people interact with AI, the term hasn't come up yet, but I do want to get into it. Prompt engineering. I know that's something
Mhm.
that you can talk about. So for listeners who may not know, how would you define, I guess, what prompt engineering is in plain language? Can you explain that a little bit?
Absolutely. So prompt engineering in plain language is actually having a vision of what you want to create and typing a prompt almost like it's your assistant that you're talking to and saying exactly what you mean 100% and do XYZ. There's no please, there's no and, there's no but, or there's you can do it later, right? So you almost have to treat it like an employee that can be 100% direct with and they'll get it done right now. So prompt engineering, I would say, is knowing if you're a really good prompt engineer, you use it as a framework and a flow and a guide, and the rest you build it out with maybe other agentic frameworks. That's what prompt engineering is. It is like a human in the middle, confidence building framework generating machine. Really, that's what it is.
And on the flip side here, what would, in your opinion, quote unquote, bad prompt engineering look like? What would be kind of an incorrect way that you would not recommend?
Yeah. So I would say bad prompt engineering is just like you're just talking to AI. There's no context you put there. There's no goals. Like there is no outcome goal. You say you're just talking to AI, and you are giving it so many information that it starts hallucinating. That is actually bad practice for prompt engineering. You want to solve one or two problems at each prompt. You don't want to tackle like thousands of things. But even if you do want to do that, I would say open a new chat with a different AI or the same AI to handle different problems. And that's how you get a very, very good quality AI. But naturally, we're very inclined to, these are all my problem solved right now, please. In that case, I would say if you can think of prompt engineering like a system, like a framework, then it helps a lot. Hey, what are the top 5 ways for me to succeed with the technology I have today? Can you tell me how can I monetize it so my revenue is $3 million with these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps? Break it down into details. And then before you start, you say, hey, you are a great strategist for agentic AI and operations. And it'll tell you, right, in details, what do you need to do?
You said earlier that you have trained like hundreds or even thousands of executives in the use of AI and maybe prompt engineering, correct?
Mhm.
Can you provide maybe some anecdotes into things you saw, insights you got from seeing this large magnitude of people interacting with AI and doing this training? Like what are some unique things that came out of that would be relevant for our audience today?
No, I think it would be very important for us to talk to the observation that I had while I was training them, the frustrations and the emotions, right? I truly believe energy is everything. And if you can address the frustrations in the room with training that many people, I'm sure they have some. The common frustration was really cybersecurity. Hey,
Okay.
I really feel inclined towards copying this data and pasting it ChatGPT. How do I know that that's the data that I pasted is secure, right? Now that was the biggest frustration that we had. There are technologies that are coming out that are addressing these solutions, but when we were first starting out, it was like, wait, we need to train people to not put PII into AI. Please do not do that. Please, there's no way we can stop you initially, but later on we figure out partners that has technologies like Zadara, it's a private container VPC. Even if you have an OpenAI model, it still secures it by masking up
Yeah.
the data, which is super cool. So anyways, that was the number one frustration. And I think it is valid. And I think everybody should address that while they're using AI, especially in an enterprise organizations.
Awesome. And I want to move now and talk about some more practical steps here and talk about what teams can do right now to build
Mhm.
AI tools or any tools really that actually deliver value to their organization. So, what advice would you have for teams who are excited about AI but are just unsure where to begin, where to start, and what to do?
Actually, I wrote a book about it. It's called The Human Way to AI. I'll give you the link to my stat store. It's a digital book, ebook, and I basically wrote a story about teams working together and figuring out AI for the first time, right? And the book really explains that if you measure the work that you're doing, first, don't jump into AI right away. The
Mhm.
work that you feel like it may be solved with AI, you're probably right. There's some AI that might solve it, unless you think everything can be solved. You'll have to kind of review and study AI. So the thing is, measure anything that you're doing, pinpoint exactly what the frustration points are. Oh my God, I'm copying, pasting this thing every day. I'm writing this email. I don't have enough time to understand the email or summarization or what is the context. The context, it's a legal document. Very hard to understand what it is, right? So teams should try to measure it somehow. I mean, create like those dotted markers, you draw a line, draw a line every time you're repeating, right? On a paper, like seriously. And it helps us so much. You create a line and then you build a system with AI to solve that problem, whatever that is, a Slack tool, a summarization, an active email that's looking into your email and diving deeper and telling you what the priorities are. You will save so much time and productivity, and also measure the time too that took you manually versus after you automated it. And that's exactly how you use AI. And you shared with your with your people, your family, your colleagues, and you'll start seeing productivity everywhere.
That's great. One of the follow-up questions I had, which you got into, is kind of what was the first question a team could ask before they start automating workflows? So from what I've gathered, and to reiterate, it sounds like being able to map out your processes and flows and identifying repetitive tasks is probably a good first step a team can take. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And another step is like, is there anything that I'm trying to automate that requires further permission? So please do ask, like, if you're using like patent paperwork, legal paperwork, hey, what can I potentially automate out of this? Because there has been, I think there was an article somewhere, I can't remember the name of it, but there was a lawyer that used AI to write the paperwork, and it said somewhere generated by ChatGPT, and he got into trouble for it. There's nothing wrong with writing with AI, but you have to be very aware of really exactly what are the automations you're doing, especially at a work environment, like an enterprise organization or small, medium to large. And know it's a culture shift. So
Right.
having the awareness of this technology, I would definitely say just go so you see some shorts on how AI works, and you will at least get some basics on it, and that's all you need to get started.
This is a bit of an aside, but you mentioned how someone left that copy in there. I did see on social media, on TikTok, someone delivering I believe it was like a wedding speech. And within the speech, there was text from the AI that just said, "Oh, you can edit this and customize it for your actual speech." And this person ended up reading that out loud, and it was very clearly awkward because it was clearly AI generated speech they were delivering. So again, yeah, great
That's
advice.
funny. It's funny. It's like, you can also edit this in different ways.
Exactly.
Wait, you don't want to do that at all.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
And I know in our conversation about AI, one of the things that comes up a lot and that you've also echoed is that AI often kind of hides in the background, and the best use of AI ends up feeling invisible to the user. On the
Yeah.
design side, I can speak to why good design is invisible. On the AI side, can you kind of share your thoughts on why you feel, good AI is almost quote unquote invisible?
Absolutely. So good AI is still being developed, right? I think it'll happen at some point. But there are, of course, big players on this play, right? The thing is, sure, there's great AI, there's good AI, but how do we monetize it? We're still trying to figure it out. Anyways, that's more like an enterprise thing. But a good AI, my vision is that you don't have to ever touch your phone, because this AI will give you all the information you need. You want to order Uber, the AI will do it, right? You want to look up some news, the AI can just tell you what the news is or summarize it for you. And we see technologies like that. For example, Mark Zuckerberg with the glasses, talking and recording stuff and see. But I feel like some of it is distraction. But what if you didn't have to look at anything? What if you just got the feedback? So anyways, this topic can go on and on, because another thing is a neural link, right? What are you trying to do with that? Are you trying to connect your brain to the AI so it can give you information? Maybe, maybe not, but there's so many uses of AI, and the best use is usually when you are connected to it in a way, you're using it as a utility and you don't think about it. And that's
Yeah.
when you have a good AI tool.
That insight is gold. And I know AI can feel huge and overwhelming, but the way you're framing it in this conversation today makes it feel really accessible and manageable, and actually rooted in a very measured, good product thinking. So thank you for sharing that. I do want to back this conversation out a little bit. I know you've done a lot in your career, but what is a piece of advice you might give your younger self?
Piece of advice I would give my younger self. I would say, relax, don't overthink. Not everything is so serious. Sometimes you need to express yourself. If you're frustrated with something, there is a healthy way of expressing it, because again, that gut feeling, everything is driven by energy. And if you think freely and you're relaxed and you understand that there's a problem you need to solve, it's either with AI or your personal life, I would say solve it by doing some research, by understanding the problem, by taking a different perspective into it. Okay, if it happened differently, what I would do? What if it happened exactly the way I want it to? How would that work? And that translates to so many things that I talked about, that you write your vision first and you work
Yeah.
backwards and you figure out the answers at some point. But I think that's the advice I would give my younger self.
That's great advice. Hopefully, Rafsan
Mhm.
Jr. will take that into account. But before we close
Absolutely.
things out, I want to do a little quick fire here. I'm going to throw just, let's say, 2 or 3 statements your way. I just want your quick take on them. No overthinking, gut reaction in like 30 seconds or less. Let's
Okay.
see here. What is a common AI misconception that you are tired of correcting?
I want to copy paste everything from AI without reading. I send that email without reading. That
Yeah,
I read, please, and also make sure have Grammarly check it out. So you don't want to depend on one AI. So use different systems.
I love that. All right, second one here. What is a non-technical skill that makes someone great at working with AI?
I would say reading. If you can read, that's a non-technical skill, and comprehension is so important, right? If you can read and understand, there's enough content out there like medium.com and everywhere that'll give you, hey, is this good? Especially Reddit. Like I definitely, what people are talking about. So important.
Awesome here. And then last one before we wrap things up. If you could wave a magic wand and fix one thing about how companies are using AI today, what would you fix?
I would fix how companies treat people, their people. Make people feel valued, because people are. You see AI can generate anything you want. People are the most valued asset here. So the intention, again, their confidence, and how they view you and your company and their purpose. If their work is purposeful, you are winning in every step.
I love that. Thank you for sharing and thanks for playing along. Before we go, we like to
Thank you.
wrap things up with what we call our Majestyk bite. So if listeners can walk away with just one thing from this episode, what would that bite be for you?
I'm sure everybody has heard this before. Believe in yourself. Be confident. If you are envisioning yourself walking into a room, talking to CEOs and executives and having a drink with them, and then you will get there. You just have to believe in yourself, have that energy, have that confidence, and know that you are very valuable, and you will make it anywhere in life, whatever you want.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that bite. Is there anything coming up that you want to shout out, anywhere we can direct people to that you want to mention right now?
Absolutely. So for our company, we are launching Go-to-Market Engineering, which is consulting. Yeah, we do have our revenue operations platform that is very flexible. It works with different use cases because we truly built it based on the purpose of our customers and their companies. And we partner with global AI advisors to start our own first learning track of AI-driven revenue operations for leadership, marketing, and customer experiencing teams. It's going to be a certification program. It's super exciting. And, that's all.
Rafsan, this was fantastic. Your way of breaking down AI into something practical, human, grounded is exactly the conversation I think teams needed to hear and what they need to hear right now. We will link to OrionQ and some of the other resources you mentioned in our show notes. And I know our listeners are going to walk away with a clearer, more hopeful way of thinking about AI without a lot of that noise and hype that we're hearing. For those of you tuning in, thanks as always for listening. If you found this episode helpful, give us a follow, leave a review, share it with someone who you think might find this valuable. This is the Product Builders Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.